Hi there, my name is Elliot Erlij, and I am presenting from Los Angeles, California. For my research project, I led a case study at my Catholic high school in Madrid, investigating the gender construct in sports and the according perceptions of these roles of male and female athletes. As a student athlete myself, playing tennis and running cross country in the United States, sports have always been a significant part of my life. However, my exploration of gender disparities between male and female athletes began with a single controversial event. In September of 2023, I moved to Spain to complete my sophomore year of high school, where around the same time, a significant soccer controversy erupted following Spain's victory in the Women's World Cup. The former president of the Real Spanish Football Federation, RFEF, Luis Rubiales, kissed Jennifer Hermoso, a player of the team, on the lips without her consent during the celebrations. I noticed that there seemed to be a significant difference in perception between the women and the men commenting on the incident and their general perception of sports. I noticed this difference take place both on a local level at my school and on a broader level in all of Spain. When I was interested in playing on the girls' football team for my new school, I saw major discrepancies between how the boys and girls' football team were funded and treated. I began to wonder if this was just my perception of the disparity, or if, with Spain being a conservative Catholic country, there was a real bias greater there than in the US. Therefore, my research intends to answer the following questions. How are gender roles construed at a Catholic high school in Spain? And how does it manifest in the school sports, with a particular highlight on football or soccer? And how do high school student players internalize these roles? To research whether bias against women's sports is real or perceived, I used several measures and discovered three significant themes. With my methods, I categorized the patterns of my findings into a paper where my research argues that masculinity and dominance construct gender roles in football and other sports in three distinct ways: systematic gender inequality, peer pressure and bias, and positions of power. My research underlines the first way, systematic gender inequality. The systematic gender inequality embedded in sports has set up a system where we continue to undermine women's sports and fail to provide them with the same level of recognition and opportunity as men. On a macro or national level, there are discrepancies between male and female football players in their pay in Spain. While the average annual salary for a male professional player is 195,000 euros, the average annual salary for a female football player is only 42,000 euros. The dramatic difference in salaries have resulted in 1 out of 5 female football players needing a second job. Discrepancies in funding for the male and female football teams at my school were also evident, as discovered through my own personal observations and interviews I conducted. The girls' teams have reported to not have uniforms, playing opportunities in a real league, insufficient training time, not enough players to form a real team, and more, while these are all privileges the boys' teams have. I asked a girl, "Where does your team practice? Is it the same location as the boys?" And my interviewee responds that her team practices, and I quote, "the baby field," at a sports facility nearby as the boys, who play on a larger regulation size field. Through research I conducted on my own, I observed the school's Instagram account, which posts images of only the school's boys football team, in which every boy uh, is wearing the uniform, which has the school's logo on it. Promotion of the boys' wins and the team is greatly more prominent than the promotion of the girls' teams. The next pattern I noticed is peer pressure and an underlying gender bias. In a case study done by the Children's Stigma Consciousness of Gender in Sports and Physical Activities, the study examines cultural stereotyping of gender in sports by conducting one-on-one interviews with 22 children, boys and girls. Their findings showed that boys associated football with masculinity and cheerleading with femininity. There was also similar thinking among other children, as many kids linked masculine traits such as aggression to boy sports, while props like pom-poms were associated or characterized girl sports. In my observations at my own school, there's encouragement of gender-specific sports as well. In an advisory lesson, girls were repeatedly encouraged to join volleyball, not football, while volleyball was not promoted to boys, despite that there was also a boys' team. "Volleyball is for girls" was also a comment relayed to me by one of my male football playing classmates. Beyond the boys' reinforcement of gender stereotypes, there was an attempt to undermine a survey I conducted. They undermined it with sarcasm and a lack of seriousness in their responses, commenting things like "kill all men" and "girl power." While watching them fill out the survey, they laughed and grouped up naturally to form answers of intentional immaturity together. Repeatedly, I saw this type of behavior from the boys and their fear of being judged by their male friends. The girls, on the other hand, took the survey very seriously and pointed out the different treatment of girls' sports received at the school and the discrepancies in funding and support. The final pattern I observed was the influence of power dynamics and how men who hold positions of power use this advantage to reinforce male dominance in sports. The women's Spanish national team have stated to have that the team management had had a controlling and authoritative approach by coaching staff, including their head coach, Jorge Vilda at the time. Andrew Camps, who was an avid supporter of Luis Rubiales, but also one of main the main figures in the RFEF, was considered the general secretary at the time. He mistreated the players on the squad, governing with hostility. In special regard to financial setbacks that the team had, the 5-year RFEF agreement from 2022 was said to earn the woman money from sponsorships and image rights. But this does not exactly align with the FIPRO report from this year, which shows the discrepancies in pay between the male and female teams. Luis Rubiales, who is president of the RFEF at the time, exclaimed that women football players were on the path to getting equally treated. Yet, ironically, he's also a significant symbol of male dominance and abuse in the sport world. In my school's case, I initiated a discussion with my athletics director to ask him the same questions that I had previously asked the girls about their treatment on the football team. In his response, my athletic director seemed to have a positive attitude toward providing equal opportunities to both teams. He's clear and asserts that both male and female teams receive equal treatment in terms of training hours, credits, coaches, other aspects as well, contradicting every single statement the girl players have told me from their experience. From my findings, I wanted to highlight several conclusions I came to. First, a common thread among the girl responses is that their awareness of the unequal treatment between the girls and boys teams at the school. While the gender dynamics frustrate them, they also express a level of acceptance of this reality, despite my increased reference to the inequalities they face and inequalities between teams on a national level, highlighting the controversy of the Women's World Cup. Their acceptance seems to stem from their lack of investment in the sport, which then prompts their lack of investment to challenge or change the disparities within the school's football program. In addition to the difference in competition levels, the girls' withdrawn emotional engagement in football could also be due to the school's continual emphasis on promoting and enhancing the boys' teams. Furthermore, I observed how power works in a multitude of ways, and highlighted by my encounter with the athletics director, I noticed a distinct way in which power is used to manipulate and maintain male control. The athletics director not only misguides the community about the state of equality, but he also raises concerns about my institution's commitment to providing fair and equitable opportunities for all student athletes, regardless of gender, as he tends to resist efforts to challenge systemic inequalities. I would like to note that my presentation only highlights several of the numerous examples where I witnessed how pervasive influence of peer pressure, impact of power structures, overall discriminatory framework of athletics within the school have favored providing more opportunities for male athletes. Here I link my paper that goes into depth about all these findings. I highly encourage you to read it. Thank you so much for listening, and that is all for my presentation today.